Hello, Starshine. This is Smadar from Song of Stones, and I am here with you with a circle of very special crystals who have stepped forward. They're my personal crystals, and they've stepped forward to help me with my breathing. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. How crystals can help us with the things that we are going through in our daily lives. I'll start by introducing myself for those who don't know me. I am Smadar, co-creator of Song of Stones and Crystal Whisperer, which means that I talk to stones and they talk to me. And these guys were talking to me this week when I started to notice that I've been having some issues with my breath. And I was noticing that I was holding my breath a lot more. That is something that I do tend to do sometimes is hold my breath. But this was on a whole other level. And I also, my breathing wasn't as smooth and even as it usually is. And we did have, I'm only just, this is how out of touch we can be sometimes. I'm only just putting this together now, but there was a lot of smoke in the house. We were doing a self-clean on the oven, and there was a lot of grease, and there was a lot of smoke that ended up coming out of the house, so much so that I could smell the smoke in my bedroom from the kitchen on the main level. And the smoke alarm went off. So yeah, a lot of smoke. And I didn't put the two together, but I'm sure they're connected now. So my breathing was a little bit off, and it also could have been stress too, partly. We're so. I'm going to talk about myself, and some people might relate to this. I imagine a lot of us will, is that I tend to hold my breath. And it's amazing how much more often I do that when I'm stressed about something or when I'm trying to focus sometimes on something. So that's something that I've been consciously aware of, and allowing that to shift in my body. And so I remembered while I was, I woke up yesterday morning and I was thinking about the aquamarine crystals, because they had come by recently to talk to us about breath and how to have clear breathing. I did a whole video on that, so I'm not going to get into all that right now. The reason that I'm here today is because I just as I remembered to tap into aquamarine, I'm inviting you to remember to call on the crystals when you're going through something in your life. And it could be anything. It could be stress. It could be relationship. It could be business. It could be wellness. It could be deepening spirituality. Anything. The crystals can always help us with whatever it is we're moving through. So I'm going to show you these. This is my particular bowl. Um, we talked about bringing crystals together with the aquamarine. And then we also talked about lithium quartz and azurine. This particular black crystal is actually a tourmaline. I couldn't find my azurine crystal when we were putting together these stone circles to help us with our with clear breathing, but this one I found, and this became part of the stone circle, and I just want to say that even when I recommend or other people recommend certain crystals together, that's not written in stone. It's not, these are just guidelines. And if you have certain crystals that are singing to you, or if you can't find a certain crystal, maybe it's because you're not supposed to have that certain crystal in this particular frequency of crystals in the moment. Maybe you're supposed to have black tourmaline instead of azurine. And it's not necessarily because they're both dark crystals. Could be a clear quartz too. It doesn't matter. Because each individual crystal will have its own message, its own song, its own gift, its own medicine. And when we start to connect with the crystals, really listening to them, we'll start to realize that. Because they show us, they really do. They speak to us if we're listening. And these crystals were speaking to me for this particular circle of crystals to help me with my breath. And I'll tell you, as soon as I connected with the crystals, I started to notice breathing more easily and more effortlessly and more smoothly. And then last night I kept them nearby while I slept. And I had a really, really deep, really restful sleep. And I credit the crystals with helping me with that. And the way that they help is another story. It's not that they are doing something. They are sparking within us the frequency that we need in our bodies to shift. So they definitely are magical, but what they do for us is help us to remember what we can do. So, but I talk about that often, and I'm sure I'll be talking about that again in the future. I just wanted to come in and share this beautiful circle with you. And I invite you to tap into my stone circle and enjoy the frequency and the energy that they are sending out. You don't have to have them with you. And you can do that with any of the crystals on the website. If you can't bring them home for some reason, you can tap in by distance. It is nice to have them in person. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't make a difference. It does make a difference, but it doesn't need to. It can be just as powerful, and sometimes it's more powerful when they're not with us. I'll talk about that another time. It's a whole other spiral. And yeah, so that's who we have here today. And in case I did not tell you, I think I forgot to tell you who the crystals are here. So the black one we talked about is tourmaline. The one next to it is aquamarine. I've never seen an aquamarine crystal like this. It's the only one I've ever come across. The ones that I didn't bring them to show you today, but they're in the other video and they're on the aquamarine listing, and you could just go to songofstones.com and type in the search aquamarine, and the little crystals will come up. They are tiny and they are crystalline in form, which means they've got the crystal structure rather than the massive structure, which is like that copal, you could say, is more massive, even though it's not actually a stone, it's organic matter. And the third one is a lithium crystal, which we talked about. This is a really magical one. And then we have copal. And it's not just any copal crystal, though copal would be amazing for breath. It's the connection to the trees, which I don't need to tell you is beautiful for breath work. And it also helps us with sticky stuff. If you think of copal being formed out of the resin is very sticky. And sometimes, when we're not breathing clearly, our breathing tubes are sometimes obstructed with mucus or smoke in my case, or dust or whatever it is. And copal can help us. It can help us. Sometimes we need the medicine that is mirroring the thing that we are working through. So the stickiness in this case. So sometimes having that stickiness as a medicine can help us move through. I'm not going to be able to go into the details on that today. I will one day talk about it, but I'm just going to say for now that sometimes we need, it's kind of like a homeopathic way of healing. We use the very thing that we are experiencing in order to move out of that state. So, and this particular copal crystal for me reminds me of a koala bear. I don't know if you'll see it. The black part is the nose and the eyes, and then from some angles, it does look like a koala. I don't know if you can see that, but it doesn't matter because that was here for me, that particular message. I've been working with koala last year, and with specifically for breath work, for breathing in universal light, and and that's what else happens when we're gathering together a circle. There's going to be little things that speak only to our hearts, and nobody else will necessarily get. I mean, listen, there might be other people who are working with koala energy as well and will understand what I mean when I call it in for breath work. But, this particular circle of stones came in specifically for me and what I'm experiencing in this moment. And I'm sharing that with you because I want to invite you to explore what works for you, and you'll feel it in your body. You'll know it in your heart when a certain group of crystals come together, and there's almost an energetic click that happens. It's like, yes, just suddenly the room gets quiet. The crystals glow. You just feel so happy with with this combination, and that is one of the ways that you know that this is your circle, that this is here for you, and you might not even know why. This time I happen to know why I was working with my breath, but oftentimes the crystals come together and I just know that I'm supposed to be working with them, and I won't necessarily know why right away. Maybe never. Maybe there are some times I've worked with the crystals that I've never found the answer, and it doesn't necessarily matter. Sometimes we're supposed to know, and sometimes we're not. Just like life. So that is, in not so short a nutshell. I thought it was going to be a shorter video. Just coming in to introduce you to these guys and to invite you to play with the crystals and bring them in. And if you're working on your breath, to call on aquamarine. Aquamarine is awesome for that. I hope that you are breathing well and easy, and that all good things are coming to you, and I send you lots and lots and lots of love. I invite you to join us at our next Crystal Live, where we are going to connect with your crystal and get a message, and we are also going to connect with the earth and reimagine her as the paradise that she is through a guided visualization. I hope to see you there. Lots of love, my friends.